Hello, Royal. How's it going? Hopefully, our audio is working. Let me see if I can tell.
I mean, I can check too. Let's go Twitch.
I think it is. Oh, look, Kara's here. Oh, Kara's sick, and she still showed up to say hi. Hey,
Feel
Kara. How's it
better.
going? Okay, Royal. Welcome to tea time. What are you drinking today?
Again, I have just a mint and spearmint tea.
Mint and spearmint tea.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's called Mint Melody.
I'm not really sure I understand the difference between mint and a spearmint. Can you describe the difference between those two?
God, how would I say it? I would say like mint is a very still a very like cool like one, and then
Mm-hmm.
spearmint is definitely more of like it's got a more kick to it. Like a when you breathe in, you can definitely feel it, like an icy. Oh, that's the one I like. But yeah, it's kind of how to really explain it either. They are different. One's just I think a little bit more kick, and that would be spearmint. That one has more of a like a cold feeling to it.
Okay, there are so many people. For some reason, everybody knows the difference between mint and spearmint in chat. One is spicy hot, one is spicy cold.
Yeah.
Two different plants, both in the mint family. Spearmint is sweeter. One hurts when you get hit with it. Hopefully, we're not hitting people with
Like you said.
it. Okay, I am just drinking an Earl Grey.
Classic.
Yeah, very classic. Okay, so let's get into talking about Zata because I feel like Zata's been really different. I feel like he's making a lot of moves. Can you just like I'm just gonna leave it open like that. Tell me more about that.
Tell you more about Zata and how different he is. I don't know what specifically do you feel is different about him?
I do feel like he seems to be more open to different ideas. I think before he yeah, he seemed more closed off, but now his horizons seem to be broadening, perhaps with his time spent with the group, or maybe even just our visit to the library.
Um, it would definitely be because of everybody around him. He doesn't really
Yeah,
give a
okay.
crap about anybody else, honestly. Um, he's a very Zada is very much one of those people that these are my people and everybody else can go fuck off. That's how
Yeah.
he is. Um, and he's trying to help the group the best way he knows how. And obviously, some of the ways that he's been doing it, he's seen people not be so happy about the way he's approached things, in which he would think was the best way of doing things. And he is trying to compromise as best as he can, which is very difficult for him, but he is trying. He is trying to better understand the people around him and try to understand where you guys are coming from. Um, yeah, that's mostly his hardest time right now. Is just trying to understand where you guys come from and the life that he has already done and the way he feels about certain things. For because things in his life are very can be very black and white.
Yeah.
There's obviously some gray areas for things, but you know, he either is like yes or no kind of a person, and
Mm-hmm.
he's seeing that certain people have a lot of they don't necessarily agree with that, and while he doesn't necessarily think that your guys' way of thinking is the best way of doing things, he
Right.
understands that there is has to be a compromise between people to continue to coexist, and he is trying to understand things from other people's perspectives, which is I wouldn't say it's difficult for him, but it's difficult for him to compromise on his ideals.
I think I can see that, especially because Zata, up until very recently, it feels as if all of his opinions were very strong. Speaking with him about different ideas or different approaches often felt like hitting a brick wall. And he felt very strongly. And I think, I think, yeah, the changes that I think I've seen recently, they are really different in the fact that he's showing flexibility and responding to the people around him. I feel like it's been a really big difference. Oh my gosh.
Since he's been here,
Mm-hmm.
it, it's been a lot of people attacking his way
Mm.
of life, his
Yeah.
belief systems, and stuff like that. So he's been very defensive this entire time. Um, because yeah, he came from somewhere that people are like, "Oh, you're savages," and he's like, "I'm not a savage. I just
Yeah.
do things differently." And
Yeah.
a lot of people have been like, "Hey, your goddess is a terrible person. She's unwelcome," and he's
Mm-hmm.
like, "He's not a bad person." I mean, maybe now he sees that maybe she is not the greatest of goddesses in the world, um, which he is having, you know, it's hard. I think it would be hard for anybody, especially anybody of faith, to just because someone says your god is terrible is not going to be an easy thing for that person to go with, especially if something you've been worshiping for a long period of your life. Um, and with Zata, being able to talk to somebody who is also a part of the gods, having the
Mm-hmm.
ability of gods, and then getting that information from them, from a source, because Zata feels it doesn't matter what god it is, whatever god they represent, they are the paragon of that. And this
Mm-hmm.
person is the paragon that he talked to, was a person that could see everything that has happened.
Right.
So that's why he wasn't as like when Eidos came to him is like, here's this information I got from the library. He's like,
Yeah. Facts.
just those are just people's opinions. That's not
Yeah.
that could be completely wrong.
Yeah.
So he didn't really take any
Okay.
ideal to it, but he was like, well, I should try to get some information, and I do know I did find out that there is a person
Mm-hmm.
that is a person of a god that can actually see to the past and actually will tell me the truth. So that's
Hmm.
why he wanted to go, because he doesn't want to just dismissively go about, you guys did something for him, and he didn't want to just offhandedly just throw it away. He didn't believe in their opinion of
Right.
the writers, but he did want to. You guys went through that trouble. He wanted to at least see it through to get some type of explanation for what happened and to see if it was true or not. Now that he knows this is kind of a true statement, he is. I mean, if anybody of faith, if you figure out, you're like, oh, my God is super great and awesome and amazing, and then it turns out it's like, oh yeah, no, they're actually, a terrible person that committed genocide. Isn't that a great person? So he is having a bit of a problem um, with that, especially with conflicting of his elemental abilities with his faith.
Right.
Um, so right now he's going through kind of a. He doesn't. Obviously, Zata is not one to speak about his feelings, not right away, especially one that because he has to be. He feels like he has to be the strong one. He has to be the pillar, like an unshakable
Mm-hmm.
pillar, and that's just how he presents himself. So right now he is having a kind of a crisis, but not one that he's willing to share with anybody at the time.
Okay, that's very interesting. Okay, so my read on the narrative so far is that, Zata has been worshiping this goddess, and that's all he's ever known. And that's been such a huge part of his life. And he comes into this world and he feels very defensive against everybody who seems to be saying just only negative things about his goddess. And meeting our group and the connections that Zata has made with the group, you see that it's causing friction. And so that's the impetus to seek out this source of truth. And that's ultimately what's convincing for you. But the reason why you sought that out is because of your emotional connection to the group. Is that an accurate way to put it?
Zada doesn't want to create too much friction between the group.
Yeah.
He enjoys everybody's presence at one point or another. Again, we don't he doesn't we don't have to agree on everything to get along and
Right.
be friends. That's
Right.
his opinion. Um with different people and different just I could say that pretty much with anybody in the group. He has feelings that he disagrees with certain people,
Mm-hmm.
but he'll work with them and try to help them as much as he can. Um, so yeah, that is definitely a thing. He doesn't he It's kind of like working with family and stuff like that. It's like you don't always love your siblings all the time, 100% of the time, but you'll always help them out when you can, and you do love them at the end of the day
Yeah.
for the most part.
Yeah, I think that's true with longtime friends and family. You don't always like them, but you love them and you're always going to be there for them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Zada is trying. He is trying to make compromises. There are certain things he will not compromise on, but for the most part, he is
Mm.
trying.
Tell me
To do
what
his
he
best.
won't compromise on.
What he would not compromise on,
Yeah.
if someone were to hurt the party in a very negative way, he will unmistakably kill that person. He will not forgive them. He will be redemption, and he will hurt that person as bad or twice as bad as they hurt the person in the group. That is
That was
something he will
very poetic. He
compromise
will be redemption.
on. Mm-hmm.
It's beautiful.
Yeah, because if anybody hurts his friends or his family, he's going to be the one to. If the person doesn't do it, he will be the one that does it because that
Okay.
is uncompromising that way.
What do you think is drawing Zada to have such strong feelings for the group?
Um, because you guys were probably one of the first people that don't, treat him kindly. You guys went with him. You don't look down on him. Like Killian doesn't think that his goddess is, even though he did worships
Right.
another god, he still is compromising, willing to listen, and understands his point of views. And everybody else doesn't seem to look at him in a negative light. They think he's maybe a little headstrong and maybe a little
Mm-hmm.
obstinate, but you guys treat him with respect, and that's what he does. He just as long as he gets respect, he doesn't have a problem with anybody. And
Yeah.
I feel like um, you guys were one of the few people in his life since coming to the Central Continent that gave him not a bad look about his goddess and not a bad rap for being, just a guy that runs around in his loincloth and feels pretty comfortable doing it. So, yeah.
Okay. Okay. Tell me more about the conflict that Zada may or may not be feeling about his elemental powers and his worship of his goddess.
So, Zada is he enjoys his elemental power. That's where a lot of his strength comes from, right? His worship of his god does give him some strength. It does allow him to protect and heal the people around him, and his elemental powers are what is able to defend his group. Uh, so it's conflicting because it's he wants the two things to kind of coexist, but now he finds those things are conflicting. Um, and he doesn't I don't think he really understands how to feel right now because he's in a spot where these two aspects that he thought were, in a harmony with each other are very much
Right.
conflicting
Yeah.
with each other now.
Yeah.
And obviously, he is a lot stronger in his monk abilities than he is with his cleric abilities. So he is probably more in tune with the abilities of the elements at this time, and he
Really?
Mhm. I think he feels a lot stronger with his feelings of nature, as you can tell. Most of the time, if
Yeah.
Adam wants to be by himself or do anything, he's usually out in nature trying to figure out in just different parts, different elements with there, and then he just enjoys that aspect. He likes the peace of nature. Um, because he obviously there's not also a lot of churches in the central continent for Ari herself, but for the most part, he doesn't go out and if he wants to be have a peace of mind, he's not going and praying to his goddess. He's mostly just out and about in nature, just trying to meditate, think about himself and stuff like that. So he's feeling stronger about his elemental abilities, but I don't. It's a conflict that he doesn't know how to resolve between his goddess and his elements. And that may be coming to a point where he may not want to use his clerical abilities, if at all.
What?
So,
Oh my gosh. What?
yeah.
That's huge. That's huge. That's
Well, I mean, if you figured out that, you had abilities that came from a descendant of, which is possible for him, a descendant of elemental users, and his goddess that he thought he was worshiping was the person who destroyed his entire line, and somehow he slipped through the cracks, be kind of upset about it too. So
that would be a monumental shift. I'm excited for that.
it really depends. He's got to get some more information, but he is right now. It's kind of like he still has that tool in his kit and he'll use
Mhm.
it. He may not be happy about it, but it is like just the ends justify the means, right? Because if you guys go down, he's going to use his power to heal you guys up. And
Here's my question.
mm-hmm.
If you stop worshiping your goddess, do you still get to keep your powers?
Nope.
That ends. What about for warlocks? If you You
It's your
said the
sugar
same?
daddy. It's your sugar daddy, yeah. Your sugar daddy or your sugar mama is your patron, and if you do not do as your patron says, there is a class that can still retain their power because the patron is unaware that the warlock
Hmm.
is tapping into their power. But that's the great old ones because the old ones are beyond comprehension,
Okay.
and you just kind of accidentally tap into their power, but you are so insignificant to them that they don't even care
Okay.
or notice
You
that
don't.
you're
You're not
tapping
even
into their power.
registering. Yeah.
Yeah, they're not even registering, but most patrons, they are giving you your power because of something. So it is a possibility. Most times it's like, if you do not do this, they will take away your powers.
Okay. Bobby says warlocks. It's a contract, so if you break the contract, you lose the power. And also, I just want to say that John Ball said one hurts when you get hit with it, and I just realized now it's referring to the fact that it's a spearmint. That took me way too long to understand. I'm only just reading and registering now.
Yeah. So for most warlocks is the same thing, but um, clerics is the same thing. Um, if you do not worship the god that you are getting your powers from, they can they can close that divine connection to you.
Wow. Okay, so how would that even work mechanically? So let's say you stop worshiping your goddess, but you have those levels in cleric. Do you reclass?
Mm, so what I could do is either A, I still have the cleric some of the clerical abilities, like I still have my saving throws and stuff like that, but my spells would not um at a long rest wouldn't come back because you need that divine connection to get your spells
Wow.
back. So I just would be without spells. I couldn't use which I don't even have. If I had more levels like my channel divinity and stuff like that, the only way to get it back is to there are like three different ways, right? Is A, make up with your god. B, find another god that's willing to take on the that that divine connection because you obviously are a conduit of the divine. So
Mm-hmm.
you could go to a different god and see if they will be up to giving their divine powers to you. Or C, the most difficult one is to try to tap in, which they have covered in D&D, the divine powers within or without in the world and connecting to it without a conduit. So there is divine magic everywhere, right?
Okay,
So
I
they
see. It's like a raw version of the magic. Okay, I
right.
understand.
And then just using tapping into that, the ambient divine energy
Directly.
either with yeah, directly
Yeah.
within yourself or within the world itself and then using it and not having any contract with any or blessing, which is usually a more difficult route because obviously mortals don't really understand divine magic unless they have a spark of divine in them themselves. But it is possible for mortals to also kind of tap into that overextending divine energy, but you wouldn't have like a school of divine. Um,
Okay, I
or
see.
it really depends on how Kara wants to do it, but like for the overarching, it's just like there is no real school of divine. You're just tapping into the overall divine, but obviously
Okay.
mechanically you have to have some type of school of divine because that's just how clerics work.
Mm-hmm. Okay, that's very interesting. I hadn't thought about that before.
Mm-hmm. So, how does Seraphina feel about that deal?
about your about your lion love.
Yeah.
See, here's the thing is I can't tell the difference between what Melanie wants and what Serafina wants with regard to
Some,
those.
sometimes they intertwine, sometimes they're completely different.
Yeah. I think I'm just using Serafina because Melanie wants to know more about the lion love. Dane said paladins have divine connection, but it's based on their oath, not so much directly to the god.
Right.
Praise Oasis, though, in case they're listening.
Right. So the divine connection that they get is the oath of mercy, the oath of protection, oath of the ancients. They have a
Oh, I see. So it's,
creed.
yeah, it's more of a virtue
Mm-hmm.
than a god. Is that
Correct.
okay? I understand.
As long
Hmm.
as, but it's still the same thing as like as long as you fulfill those creeds, then you get divine powers. But if you break it, then you become an oath breaker.
Ooh,
And that is a
okay.
completely different paladin sect.
Do you think Killian is in danger of being an oathbreaker?
No, he's too good boy.
Well,
Not unless he
goody
does
two
something
shoes.
crazy. Unless he does something crazy, no, I don't see him breaking his vow anytime soon, or his oath. Um, yeah, if he killed like an innocent person or something, that would break his
Oh my
oath. But
gosh.
I
I
doubt he
can't
would do
imagine him doing
exactly, right? He's too good.
that. Okay, so Melanie is definitely interested in this lion love situation. I definitely want to know more, and I definitely want to go visit your home, and I want to see which one of these lions.
Which one of them?
Yeah.
I mean, it seems that we're going that way after we go visit your home.
Is that where we're headed? This is gonna be a
Oh, I
terrible
mean,
journey.
well, we're almost, yeah, we're getting to the tower where your father teaches. I don't know
Yeah.
how far. I don't know if your dad just teleports home every day. I don't know how far away your actual house is
They're
from the
close by,
school.
yeah.
Yeah, so you on basically hometown.
Yeah.
So yeah, so you're gonna go to your home and then maybe find a way to mine, hopefully through magical means, because the
Mm.
trip is not fun on foot or boat as it will be. It was not a fun time.
Yeah, not
Uh,
as many cute waters on the
no,
way.
no waters, lots of storms, lots of terrible storms that Zata remembers crossing over. He did not have a good time.
Yeah. I am definitely tempted, but I feel like everything that I want is just at the expense of the character Serafina because Melanie just wants to know the tea.
Serafina wants to know the deets too, though, doesn't she?
I think she does. I think she's curious. We've blended together in a way that I cannot separate them.
They're one and the
In
same now.
this specific instance, yeah.
Yes. Yeah, I mean, that's the whole thing was there for you. Zada's trying to, yeah, because Zada comes from a pretty well-adjusted family life. So, as he's trying to say with Kittenberry and stuff like that, your family is your family, and it's
Yeah.
worth trying to talk to them. They may not agree with you at the time, or they may not see that, but it's worth trying to communicate with them and
Yeah.
give them the chance to have an opinion instead of just not having that opinion, like not giving them that chance. And if they do treat you poorly, I mean, at least you gave them the chance. That's the best
Yeah.
you can. So
Yeah.
that's all Zada's trying to do. That's what he's done with, like I said, with Kittenberry, and then he's tried to do it, trying again with you. But he is definitely putting the carrot on the stick for you to see if you're willing to bite it.
So, if if she brings you and everyone else home with her, would you divulge all the juicy details?
Because if you ask us the right questions, yeah,
The right questions.
yeah, you got to be asking the questions. If you give the questions, then yeah, he'll give you all the information. He will not lie to you.
Okay,
You
you
have to
won't
ask the
lie and
questions.
you won't withhold information, but I need to ask the questions.
Yep.
Okay.
You're the one that wants the information. He's not going to give it to you freely. You just have to ask the right questions that you want. What questions
Hmm.
do you have for him? He will respond and answer truthfully.
It's very tempting, I must admit. And do you think okay, so with Kittenberry and Serafina, I do feel as if Zada is invested in them making that connection with their family, like you said. Is there anyone in the group with whom you wouldn't take that same approach?
Oh, I think everybody he does. It's just, Killian kind of parents are dead, so that's kind of a bummer. Same with Marway, his parents are dead. So it's like you can't really connect with the dead so far.
You're so
Bula
blunt
is
about
very
it. You're like, they're dead, so it doesn't matter. Next.
yeah. Well, you can't like they already seem to have pretty good relations with a lot of their family. So he's just like, yeah, they understand. Eidos seems to definitely have his reasons. He doesn't really talk about it. It's like Bula and Eidos, they don't they haven't talked really about their family, right? They haven't really said anything about their family. Eidos has delved in it a little bit, but
Mm-hmm.
Zata can understand he is obviously dealing with it in a very negative way currently, and I think Zata is just waiting for him to be like open to the idea. Where Kittenberry and you seem to have a more open stance of
Yeah,
like listening and stuff like that. Where I think Eidos would probably react in a negative way at this time
I think
to that type
so.
of. So he's kind of just he's in the abyss. Oh, have you told us that your dad is in the abyss? I just remembered like your dad was like going crazy, but he wasn't actually crazy, and then that's all we heard. And I assumed that since your horse died, that your whole family is just dead at this point. But yeah, so I think he just waits for his time to really talk to Eidos about it, and you know, everybody has a certain point in time where it's a good time to approach them and go with the idea. And
You
yeah,
leave
so he's
Castle Deer
just
out of this.
but yeah, so he's just he'll just wait. And Bula is definitely somebody that is she's just a hard person, and I think
Yeah.
Zada understands that, and he understands that she will come to terms, or she'll speak when she wants to speak about it. But
Mm-hmm.
otherwise, she's fine, and she's taking care. And he most respects that she is taking care of somebody right now, which is Morroway, and she's, you know, shouldering a lot of that burden, and um, he's tried to help with that burden, you know, with Morroway. Maybe not the way Morroway wants it, but he is
Yeah.
trying. He's like, hey, let's go beat up that person that took over your home. We'll kill him. And he's like, no, we'll die. He's like, yeah, it's better than that, than trying, than failing, and not doing anything. So that's just Zada's approach about it. But yeah, he just to each. I don't think that he would not do that to anybody. It just depends. He's
Mm.
just seeing how people, if they need it at the time or not. I think that he
Okay.
feels that you need it at this point in time, and Kittenberry definitely he felt like she needed it at the time. But she obviously said no, I don't want it, and he's like,
Mm-hmm.
all right. I mean, I offered help if you don't want it, or if you don't want that type of stuff. That's fine. That's your choice. But he is willing to bend over backwards to try to bridge that gap for anybody or be there. And if they try to hurt you, he'll punch them in the face. It's gonna be fine.
I do feel as if Zada's words were moving for Serafina, especially because Serafina doesn't have a contentious relationship with her family. It's more so that she feels like an outsider. I think it'll come clearer once we go visit her home, but she does come from a loving family, and I think it is different from Ados and Bula because there seems to be more of a conflict happening there.
Sada is the same way. He feels like an outsider in his tribe. So
Yeah.
that's probably why he's very connected to you at this time with this certain problem. Because he's basically having the same problem. And he's
Yeah.
trying to fix yours and not fix his
Just
own
avoid
problem.
his own problems.
Yeah, exactly.
No, I think that one session I did say something that I felt is very true, which is that I do think Zata and Serafina seem to be on similar journeys in that Zata is looking to find power and strength to take back home to show everybody. And I think Seraphine is on a similar journey where she's also trying to tap into arcane powers so that she can live up to her family name and make her family proud.
Yeah. Again, we are very similar
Yeah.
stories, just different. I mean, obviously different causes. There's no arcane
Yeah.
power I need to tap into, but we have very similar like problems that we are going through.
Yeah. Yeah. Out of the in the group, I'm kind of curious. Who do you think Zata is closest with, and who do you think Zata most wants to bridge that gap to make a relationship?
Killian is probably the closest because he's the
Yeah,
one that
because
most
he's
understands.
religious. Yeah.
He's religious, but it's not just his religion, it's the way that he is open to the idea of Zada's way of thinking and his
Hmm.
like he doesn't necessarily, go like your ideas are bad to stop doing that. Like I would think a lot of clerics or a lot of paladins would do to a lot of other people, to their gods. They usually are like, that's a bad god, don't
Close
do that, stop
minded.
it. Stop it, get the spray bottle, stop that. And then
Close
he's
minded
willing
like Zata's close minded.
Zata is he is kind. I mean, again, it's you're coming from a spot that a lot of people have put him on the defense, and
Okay,
it's very
okay.
difficult for him
Yeah.
because, like, again, if you come into a new spot and people are attacking you right as you
Yeah.
come in, of course you're gonna get defensive right away
Mm-hmm.
because that's just how things are. But Killian is willing to listen and understand, and if he is willing to listen to understand, Zada is willing to do the same for him. And he tried. He may have not done it in the best way with, again, capturing a person he wanted to kill, but
Oh my god.
he did try. He did try. He was trying. He was like, I helped, right? I did what you asked. Not specifically at you guys exactly wanted, but he did not kill that person. And you're going to be like, that's also bad. And he's like, oh, but they're not a threat anymore. And they're like, still bad. And he's like, all right.
Yeah, no, that session traumatized me. Because I think that was worse than killing someone because you it
for,
sadistically maimed them.
so for Zata, it's for him, death is the ultimate punishment for him because you're no longer allowed to live anymore. Like you do not get the ability to live on the mortal plane and do as you please. You are then after you die, you are sent to the afterlife. There is no coming back.
Mm-hmm.
Like this is your one trip. From what he understands, this is your one trip to the mortal plane.
Yeah.
So if I end that, it's like cutting your vacation short. So he's as if you keep on living, like you may be hurt or anything, but you get to live. So
Okay. That's
you're lucky.
interesting. That's an interesting take. I like that explanation.
Yeah, that's how Zada sees things. Like to
Yeah.
a lot of people, like I know people were saying like there are far things worse than death, but not for Zada. Like Zada is like you're dead. There's no coming back. That's it. That sucks.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. Who do you think is the person that you most want to strengthen your relationship with?
Probably Eidos. He has a lot of
Tell me more about that.
um. Eidos is very much a keep people at arm's length, except for basically you. Um, so it's been difficult because again, for out of the group, Eidos has also showed the most understanding with people, and he was the one that gave him his information at other points
Yeah.
in times. Eidos has done small things that Eidos has done small things that have been very important to like he may have not even think it was a big deal, but to Zada it's been a very big deal. Showing kindness, I think Eidos also gave him a gift which he took very seriously, and he's shown openness and kindness, and Zada would like to get to know him better, but it is difficult because he is so standoffish, and Zada doesn't think his blunt approaches will probably do the best. So he's trying. He's if you've noticed, there's been a few times he's tried to kind of see
I
like Oak
did.
and Itos,
Yeah.
but it's kind of been like not done so well. So he kind of just like backs off because he's trying to figure out how to like communicate with him and have a sit
Yeah.
down, but it's been difficult. So he kind of just kind of like approaches, finds out his approach isn't working too well, to just kind of backs off and then just waits and tries again later. But everybody else, I think he's gotten a pretty good. Well, they may not think it, but he feels like they're pretty okay with. Eidos would probably be the most difficult. Bula is mutual respect
Yeah, I
because she's
agree.
strong, he's strong.
Yeah.
They both do things to protect. They understand each other, and I think that's he's comfortable with that type of relationship.
Mhm.
And he wants to help Marway, but he already has a protector, so he's like,
Yeah.
"You're good. If you need something, I'm here. But if you don't need me, I'll be over there fucking off somewhere."
Bobby says, "Hey now, Marway is wingmanning into Ados's heart." That's true. What did you think about? Yeah, tell me more about you trying to interfere with Ados, hitting on that girl.
Yeah, he didn't. He
Why are
didn't
you
like.
making it hard for him?
Why is he making? Because he didn't like the girl.
Why don't you like the girl?
Didn't. He didn't know her. He was like, "Who's this random fucking chick? Who's trying to get in with my friend?" He's he's like the bouncer, like that gate friend that you have to get through. He was trying to do that. Didn't work out so well. But he was like, "Is this person worth my friend's time? Like, are they basically are
What?
they good enough for my friend?" And that's how he was trying to do. He was trying to like insert himself and just be like,
Wow.
"Are you good? Like, what are your intentions with my friend? What do you want to do? Is that why? What do you want?" Because to him, remember, we know that Ito's who he is, and he's afraid that people will take advantage of him because of
Yeah.
his station. So he's just being cautious. He doesn't know. Zata tends to see the worst in people before he sees the best in people. So this
Okay.
random
Okay.
person could have been like a spy. This person can get back to his family, telling them where he is. They are a dark elf. They are a drow. What if they
Are
go
you
and
being
talk?
racist right now? What's
No.
happening?
That's dark elves is what we called back in the day. They're just dark elves or drow. But he was just afraid. It's like Eidos doesn't want his parents to know where he is, and he is just like, will this person? Because just like, if this person went with information to his family and said, "I know where your family is. What are you willing to give me?" People would like. He sees people do that, and he was like, people would do that. So he's like, he's just being cautious, and yeah. So that's just how he felt. He's just overly protective. Um, because you all may not see the danger, but he's always the one that's seeing danger all the time in different moves and different ways that we act. So he's just playing it cautious for the team.
Okay, okay. I see what you're saying. Okay, so my mistake, because you were saying that Jade is a drow. So you're saying that because she's a drow and he's a drow, she might know about his home life, not because that's something that a drow would do. Okay.
No, not just because she's a drow. It's just because like she may know that he is actually part of
Okay.
the royal
Okay.
lineage, and because like you never know, like, yeah, there are people out there in the kingdoms and stuff like that that may not know what the person looks like, but it doesn't
Mm-hmm.
take a lot of math to figure out noble. He's got this presence about him. He's definitely not the normal boy. There's been a prince missing for a while. You know, the math ain't
Oh
hard.
man, wouldn't it be so good if she was a spy though? That would be so juicy.
It would be, but again, that's what Zata was afraid of. Like
God.
this is why he was afraid. He was trying to get in there to try to figure out like is this person doing that kind of thing. But obviously it was not. Yeah, Eidos is not the normal
He
boy.
is not
He
the
is
normal
he is
boy.
he is not the boy next door. He's the boy in the next castle, okay? So he was just worried because again, Eidos and Zada always remember saying Eidos was afraid that his family figuring out where he was, and he may
Mm-hmm.
not have thought about it at the time, but Zada was thinking of it at the time.
Yeah, yeah. Bobby is really rooting for Jade. Jados for life. Okay, so what
Zada
kind of
is not.
person do you think? Okay, so if you got to know Jade, you'd be
Mhm.
more open.
Depends on how her personality is.
Well, what kind of person would you pick out for Eidos?
Someone that is supportive of him, someone that it can be. Eidos needs someone that is a stronger hand, it feels like, in the relationship, so that he has someone to rely on. Because obviously he's been through some tough shit, and he
Mm-hmm.
needs somebody to be that pillar of support for him right now. Doesn't always have to be, but that person definitely needs to be a stronger person that isn't going to rely on Eidos, because everybody relies on Eidos right now, it seems like. And in his family at least, like all this pressure is being put on him, and he needs someone that will understand the pressure that has been put on him and willing to shoulder or help him through those problems, not someone that's going to take advantage of the situation or just be like, now I'm a princess and I'm the best in the world. um and he wants someone like that for his friend, obvious, because is his friend, and he deserves somebody that's willing to support him and also be strong for him and help him through the trauma that he's gone through, and obviously try to get him over his drinking problem that he definitely
It's
has
tricky.
currently.
But okay, but what happens if this is the person that Eidos wants? Would you still interfere, knowing that Jade is the one that he wants?
He would probably definitely have a sit down talk and talk to Eidos.
What?
Like, are you sure this is probably not going to end well for you? But if that's what you want, that's what you want. But understand that this is probably not going to be the best of relationships for you.
Okay, so in your real life relationships, how would you approach something like this where a friend is dating someone but you're not into them but they're into them? Is that how you would handle it?
That's how I've handled it. Yeah. Hold on. I think that's my dad.
Marway is a wingman and Zata is the cock blocker. Yeah, that's what's
Yeah,
happening. And the two of
he
you will neutralize each other.
each other. Yeah, yeah. Yeah. I mean, I've done that before. I've said to my friends or people, like, I'm like, that's totally your person. That's if that's who you want to be with. It's just like I don't agree with that's what you need at this time.
You
But
say that
I'm
you
not.
say I don't agree that that's what you need at
Uh,
this time.
well, I don't agree. I said I don't feel like I feel like what you're getting into is either because you know is you're wanting something because of either you're lonely, you wanting something because you need connection, you need something for that. But again, as I've told people, is like, is that fair for the other person? Because again, you're getting into a relationship, and yes, you are doing it, but are you getting into a relationship because you love that person, or are you needing something from that person? And if you are needing something from that person, is that fair to that other person?
Okay. All right. So if I were in this situation, first of all, I think there's a difference between someone who I think is bad for a friend versus just
Yeah,
someone who I think might not be ideal for them, right? If it's just a
yeah.
situation
There's a
where, oh, this isn't the perfect guy for you, I probably
oh
wouldn't say
yeah.
anything.
No, if they're not perfect, no one's perfect. Like
Yeah.
like it's compromise. Like that's fine. Like that, like deal with the thing. But if you're getting into the relationship for the wrong reasons, then I will say something. It's like you're just using this person as a proxy for something that is lacking in your life at this time.
So,
And
yeah. So
yes,
you
so
speak up.
yeah, because again, it's not fair for that person, nor is it fair for you. And I have said this to, there's been a couple friends where I've done this too, and then I've given examples, and they're like, I didn't think about it that way. I'm like, yeah, so kind of sucks. Don't do that. And they're like, yeah, I should probably not do that. I'm like,
Wow, so they received it well. This was
yeah, my
well
friends,
received advice.
yeah, a lot of my friends are definitely open and willing to do it. Like whether again,
Wow.
advice is freely given but rarely taken. If you want it, I will give my advice. I will say it, but it's up to you to choose to take it or not. And yes, I've had people accept my advice. My one friend who, when I gave the example, was like, "Okay, yeah, I probably shouldn't do this." And it's like, "Yeah,
Wow.
probably good." And another one of my friends was like, "Yeah, it's probably not a good idea," and does it anyway. And I'm like, I mean, it's your choice. I told you, so whatever. And then they're like, "Oh, this person was terrible," and now all this. I'm like, I'll listen to your bitching, but yeah, that's what happened. What I told you, what happened. So
That's very interesting. I think if I see a friend getting in a bad or unhealthy situation, I don't put it so bluntly. I would gently lead them through a series of questions that
yeah, I'm not
hopefully
that good. I'm a
led us
pretty
to a
blunt person.
conclusion.
Yeah, I'm pretty blunt with my friends, and they understand that. And a lot of my friends are pretty blunt too. So we're pretty on the same page on those things. So we'll just kind of be very straightforward and blunt to each other. And new people I have met, again, these are friends that I've had since high school. So we've known each other for 20 plus years. So we are pretty good. With newer people that I meet, and I will be just as blunt as I am, and they will be like, "Grr," and I'm like, oh well, I don't care. You can either do it or not, and if you don't want to be friends after that, I'm sorry. That's just my personality, and I'm not gonna change it. So
Yeah. I'm the opposite of being direct. I'm extremely indirect.
I tend to be very direct.
I like that. I think that's good.
Yeah.
So, looking forward, do you have any predictions for the next couple sessions?
It's really gonna be dependent on what you and Eidos are doing, right? Because this is your guys' home turf. Um, so it really depends on how you guys want things to go down and who you talk to. Zata has never been in a school structure. I mean, obviously he had his mom teach him, and then
Mm-hmm.
probably like people out there teaching him skills. His mom was the one that would taught him how to read and all that other things. But it wasn't like a formal education system. It was just I was with my mother. She taught me God stuff. Then I went with my dad, and he taught me how to hunt and fight and do all these other things that I needed to survive. Like it's like these were apprenticeships, not formal educations.
Yeah, yeah.
So he will very very interested to see how an education system works because I don't like you guys talk about school and stuff like that, but he doesn't really understand what that means.
Oh, that's interesting. It'll be interesting because Kinberry's signing up for classes so you can learn.
Right.
That's cute.
Yeah, so he doesn't understand what school is. Like he doesn't understand what your guys are like classes and stuff like that. He's just like apprenticeships? Like do you just like tail and then they teach you how to do something? He doesn't really understand that it's like multiple people learning from one person. He's like that's wild because like you don't no one has that kind of time and how do you do that? And so it'll be interesting to see how he takes it. And again, his use of arcane is very limited. Obviously, he doesn't. His power comes from divinity, and um his monk abilities come from just channeling the elements through him. Not
Mm-hmm.
hand gestures and talking. It's just
Right.
I feel the elements, I pull it from what I needed, and then I just express it. That's all I do.
Yeah.
So it'll be
It's more
interesting to see how.
intuitive.
Yeah, it's definitely more of a this is just something I do, not something I
Mm-hmm.
work to try to do.
Oh, well,
So it'll
isn't
be
that
interesting.
nice? Okay.
It's just how it
good,
is. To be
good
fair,
for you.
he did have to work on his divine, so he does understand that you have to like pray and do the stuff. So he does know like somatic, verbal, and stuff components for his divine magic, which he had to learn. But all his elemental stuff is innate, so it's just something he just does. So he understands both points of view because
Yeah.
you say like you have the sorcerer aspect and you have your warlock aspect, which he doesn't really understand, but he understands that you do have to learn a prayer to a
Mm-hmm,
god
mm-hmm. Yeah.
to do certain things to get a specific effect to happen. Or his monk's ability is like, I want fire, I make fire. I
Yeah.
want
Yeah. It's
ice, I make
easy.
ice.
Yeah.
Yeah. So he understands both aspects, which is a very interesting thing for him.
I love that. I love that. Maybe that'll come in handy later.
I mean,
Hmm.
he's kind of tried to tap that in with Marley. He's kind of
Yeah.
like he's like, oh hey, person that does stuff like kind of like me, and then Marley's like, I don't do that at all. He's like, oh, okay, well, that's how I do it. Okay, this is awkward. Bye. So, yeah, so it really just depends on what's going to happen with you guys. He's just looking forward to going back home. Like there is apprehension about going home, but he does get to go home.
Yeah.
He does get to see his mother. He does get to see his father. He
Yeah.
does get to see his friends. And again, like he said, he left without really telling anybody he was leaving. So he just left. And he's really excited to see his family again and tell them all of the stuff that he's been through and just get to talk to them and then also warn them of impending things that are happening because again Zata is not one to shy away. He's like, guys, terrible things are about to happen, people should get prepared, and you guys are like, no, don't tell anybody. He's like, but they should be prepared.
You're
Bad things are
not.
happening.
You're not looking forward to seeing a special someone.
If you're talking about his lion love,
Yeah.
he's always looking forward to seeing that person. Whether that person is looking forward to seeing him or not is a completely different question.
Is this person not looking forward to seeing him? I don't understand. There's not an underlying tension or chemistry happening.
Wouldn't you like to know?
I do want to know. What the hell?
Yeah, I mean, of course he's looking forward to seeing that person. It's part of his tribe.
Oh, shut up! You're like, I mean, I'm excited to see everyone equally.
Yeah, but it just depends. Like he has feelings. Does that other person have feelings? Who knows?
I think unrequited love is the most romantic kind of love. Because the
So
longing and the aching and the sadness, it's so beautiful.
yeah, so it depends. It just depends. He doesn't. He's just looking forward to seeing everybody there, and one of the lines there, he does have a particular fondness for, and if that person feels like they have the same feelings, then that's great. If he doesn't, then that's kind of sucky. But
Do you know what this lion looks like? Do you have an image in your head?
uh,
Like what
uh
color they are?
I mean, yeah, I would say I could probably have a good indication of what I think they would look like. Whether Kara wants to put that into her idea or not, that's fine. Yeah, they would be. Yeah, I can't really say
They would be.
anything.
Yes.
No, because it'll just give away. No, I'm not saying anything. No, I'll say.
Alright, alright. You think Marley's gonna be your wingman when you go home?
I don't know if Marway can pick up on that type of thing. Zada's been pretty closed off. I think he's really only talked to you about it. I think you're the only one that knows any type of
I'm just
information.
obsessed with this.
Yeah, and you've been poking him about it, and it's very uncomfortable for him, but he has actually divulged the most to you about anybody about it. So I don't think Marway, unless he's super picks up on it, you would probably be the only one that actually knows about it. Because again, he played it off as she was just big old eyed lady was just
Oh, Kittenberry?
no, the other one when she was saying that you have a lion love, and he just played it off
Oh,
as she was just
you mean
nonsense.
Dark Down?
Yeah, Dark Down.
Yeah.
You were the only one to pressure him about it. Everybody else just was like, yeah, whatever. Whether they believed it or not, they didn't really pressure him about it anymore. So he just thinks that no one else really this took it as, she was just saying shit, and he's
Just crazy ramblings.
just crazy ramblings of a crazy lady.
Okay, I have a
So,
question. I feel like we're about to wrap up, but I really need to know. If you have feelings for someone, do you try to keep it hidden like this?
me
Yeah.
personally,
Yeah, you,
yeah,
Royal.
I 100%.
Royal the person.
Royal the person does this 100%, 1020%. Yeah, that has been something I've been trying to stop doing, and I have been better over the years. But it is something I'm definitely had difficulties for a majority of my life. Um, it's just been kind of like not telling that person, or not really, you know, going for it or anything like that. It's just kind of just back off. Just watch.
How do you approach someone romantically?
I don't.
You don't.
I don't.
You wait for someone to come hit on you.
Uh, I don't even do that. You have to remember, the last relationship I had when I was 23. I am 39 now.
We are the
So,
eldest members of the Knights of D20.
yeah, I will be 40 in May, so I don't really approach anybody. And I have that other wonderful trait of when people hit on me, I just think they're being nice, and I'm like, there's no way they're interested in me.
Oh
They
my
don't want this.
gosh.
They're just being really nice people, and they're really cool, and they're just really friendly, and they're really
Why do
nice.
they
And
keep
I'm
touching
like,
me? I don't know.
no one really touches me, so I'm just like, yeah, it's cool, whatever. And they're just really nice and whatever. And some of my friends were like, that person was totally hitting on you. I was like, no, why would they do that? That's weird. No one wants that. So, yeah, just how things
Oh
go.
my
Again, like,
gosh, you cock block yourself.
yeah, 100%. I am my own worst enemy. Okay, I don't need anybody else to stop me. I can do it myself. So, yeah. So again, I've been trying to fix that, but I am a very it does. I know it doesn't seem like it on stream. I am a very shy person. I don't really like to talk when I first see people. I'm usually the person that kind of sits back. I judge the situation. I understand what is everybody's general vibe, and then I usually talk depending on what people are comfortable with and what I think is an acceptable conversation at the time. And
Yeah.
that's how I usually am. But when I'm with my friends and people I've known for a long time, I'm just this person. I'm just this crazy open person that just talks and just says whatever and is a very blunt person. But
Aww, does that mean you feel
major-
comfortable with us?
yeah, why wouldn't I be?
Aww.
So, yeah, so that's just how I am. Usually, like I said, I'm very shy. I mean, if you could tell in our first like session, I was pretty quiet. Tried to do jokey kind of things. Humor is the easiest way to get to know somebody, in my
Mm-hmm.
opinion. So, but like when it comes to other certain things, it's a lot easier to open up once I understand how everybody's general vibe is. Because my thing is, I never want to make, and it's probably a bad thing, is I don't want to make anybody feel uncomfortable, because I don't like
Yeah.
making people feel uncomfortable. So that's why I always like sit back, understand, talk, analyze. I'm overthinking 100% of the time when I first meet people, and then I'm like, okay, what is he okay with, and then I do that, and then when I figure out what they're okay with and what they're more comfortable with, I'll start, being more open, more sharing, stuff like
Yeah.
that. It's
Yeah.
just general vibe of Royal himself.
I feel like I learned so much about you in the last 5 minutes. This is very interesting. We will discuss more later. I've got a lot of questions, but I'll save it for next time.
Okay, sounds good.
Thank you so much for coming on and sipping some tea and teaching me the difference between spearmint and peppermint.
Minted pepper experiment.
Yeah. Mint. Is mint not a reference to peppermint? Is there a difference between mint, peppermint, and spearmint? Shut up. Are you saying
Yes.
there's three?
They're
No.
part of the mint family, but
How
they are
many
different.
mints are there?
We're blowing her
What?
mind, guys. Yeah, they are different.
Oh my gosh. All right. I guess I need to do some research.
Research about mint? Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. All right. I need to level up my herbalism. Have a good night, guys. Thank you so much for joining. Over 110 minutes? What say the Google? Oh no.
Uh,
That's too many mints.
two mints. All the mints.
All right, guys. Have a lovely evening. Thank you for joining. See you next time.